Tell me about Vegas. How was Vegas?
Vegas was fun, man.
That was sick.
Went down there for the longest 3 days of our lives. It honestly felt like we were down there for a month.
That's a crazy trip because it's a day flight, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's like a 5-day, 3-day flight.
Yeah.
I guess it was 2 days. We were down got down Thursday night. Down there for Friday, Saturday. Left Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it was fun. Friday was wild. We just packed so much stuff into Friday. So I got there Thursday night and just like, as I'm getting down there, like realized how excited I was. Just went on Instagram and saw, just going through people's stories and see how many of my friends are in Vegas. I'm like, oh, Danny Castillo's
you connected
in town.
with Cody and all them.
Yeah, and messaged Cody. Like, I used to corner Cody Garbrandt and trained him forever. So just messaged him like, what are you doing tomorrow? He's like, oh, I'm training at the PI. I'm going to do some sparring. I'm like, cool if I come in and watch and do some wrestling and stuff. He's like, yeah, for sure. So I watched him go have some like hard rounds. He's getting ready for a fight. So
nice. When's he fighting?
What's that date? I don't know the date. Goisman, can we get a quick fact check on that? Jamie, can we get a quick fact check on that? Yeah, he's fighting. What's that guy's name? Actually, I don't even. Is it? What's that? Who?
Cody
Garbrandt.
Cody Garbrandt. I don't mean to be ignorant. He's still at 25?
No, he's up at 35 now.
35,
yeah, he had the one at 25.
That's right.
I think it was just like a brutal cut for him.
Yeah.
Like it was tough, man. He
especially lighter guys cutting that much weight. That's like
and like he's always lean. He's not huge for 35, but he's like lean and explosive, right? So yeah, that was. It could have gone either way. It could have been like, oh, dude, why didn't I do this 5 years ago? Or it was, it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mario Bautista. Okay, yeah.
Mario and
Bautista.
When?
August 19th.
Coming
August
up.
19th. Yeah, he's looking good, man.
Nice.
It's good to see him, man. I hadn't seen him in years. But
I guess he's training with the Extreme guys a little bit now.
Yeah,
I think he was in that room.
Yeah. So, the wrestling coach Chase was there. He was helping run that, and he had some just brought some guys in to spar with. Yeah, man, he had some like good hard rounds. They were going after it.
Nice.
There's like one little clip of the guy like level changed and ran right into a knee, and I'm like, oh shit! Just like it was a pretty genuine reaction, but yeah, man, it was funny.
And then you did the slap fights. You did basketball game.
Slap
that was a full 3 days.
That was in one day. Yeah, that was one.
Really.
That was in one day. Yeah.
How was the slap fights?
Wild.
Yeah.
Just like car crash after car crash, man.
That's
it's
nuts.
like I'm watching this. I'm like, I cannot believe people are willing to do this. This is absolutely insane to me. Like some guys got.
They can't be getting paid that much. Like, what are they? $2,000 and $2,000 to go just have your ears. Like, fuck the idea of getting like blow your eardrum.
Well, I did.
Oh, they wear earplugs.
Yeah, they wear earplugs. So that must be to stop the eardrums
from
getting blown
has
out,
to
right?
be.
I've had mine, I think, popped in a fight because my ear was like whistling for like a couple months after that.
Yeah.
Just kind of healed on its own, I guess. If that's what ended up happening, I just assume. But yeah, dude, wild.
Those guys are going to start getting like cauliflower and stuff too. Like it's going to be.
That is the absolute least of their concern.
Yeah.
They're getting cauliflower brain, bro.
Yeah.
Those guys are getting their heads hammered in. It's wild to see that. Just like, all right, put your hands behind your back, hold on to something so you don't feel tempted to bring your hand up. We watched one match. Guy smack number one, absolutely brutal. Guy returns smack number two, and I guess he landed with the palm too much, so they called it clubbing. So like -1 point, which is like,
but they still let him go.
Slap in the wrist of all time, where it's like, okay, cool, you got -1 point, but this dude's concussed because you just essentially open hand punched him in the face. So then the original guy goes again. He slaps the first dude, and the guy like kind of leaned into it a little bit, and he called him for flinching. He's like, bro, he flinched.
So funny.
So the ref asks him, he's like, hey, do you want to go again? Like, yeah, I want to go. Like, no, I'm not just going to pass it back over to him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course. So the original guy, he's like, I didn't flinch. And they show slow motion. It was like, dude, it was not much.
Yeah.
Like, it was very reasonable amount, a reasonable amount of reaction. And so he slaps him again. This is after 3 slaps. Guy's eye is almost completely shut, an enormous mouse, swollen on both sides, nose and mouth leaking. The ref has to keep cleaning his face up. This is 3 slaps in. There's 1 round left. He slaps the other guy, doesn't make great contact. Goes back to the original guy. The guy who's leaking and face is all fucked up. He's like, I want more. He's like screaming. He's all intense. He's going wild. It's like, you're getting more, dude. Don't worry. It's happening. You don't need to ask for it. It's coming.
We watched them Jazz's fight. That's the first time I ever seen him.
Yeah.
And the one guy, he was flinching, but he just didn't he like flinch like 3 times?
Yeah.
And then it was just the other guy's goal, but he was like turning away from it like hard, and he got like 3 warnings or something, and then they just let him go again or something. It was like, how the hell?
Yeah.
They got to do some editing of the rules. No, they're figuring this shit out as they go.
The crowd there was unique.
Yeah.
It was a more sophisticated crowd than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
That's what was
So
weird.
it's at the
yeah.
Apex, right?
Yeah, it was at the Apex, and the production was like much higher quality than the UFC fights at
Really?
the Apex. Like when I was at that, it felt like much more of like a well done
Yeah,
event.
yeah.
Like I love the fights at the Apex.
Yeah.
The kind of part of the allure of it is how like it's just you're in a warehouse where the
Yeah,
people do
yeah.
like who's gonna beat
Yeah.
the crap out of who.
Yeah.
Like I like that.
Yeah.
But the production at the Apex for Power Slap was amazing.
Really?
Like Goisman was saying, like the crowd was, people were dressed up. We were in like shorts and t-shirt. I'm like, we're going to Power Slap. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of hillbillies with missing teeth.
yeah, you don't need to be, you don't want to talk with the fucking missing teeth there, bud. But, I was like, no need to dress up. Like it's fucking Power Slap.
Yeah.
Women were wearing like nice dresses and men were wearing suits. Like, I'm like, dude, we're underdressed for Power Slap. How do you
That's
show up
so
underdressed
funny.
for Power Slap? But
Seems to be doing well. They're getting like MMA guys converting into it. This is the
Yeah.
new like bare knuckle boxing. After your
Yeah.
career done, maybe you go fucking take a couple power slaps, make a little bit of money.
honest, me? Fuck no, buddy. Hell no.
That wasn't for you.
Hell no.
You're more of a bare knuckle boxing transitional guy.
You know, you've been friends with a guy long enough, he really knows you as a person. You know, it's like that's how it is. He knows I'm a bare knuckle kind of guy.
I don't think I could.
I just don't understand the allure of taking away ways to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And Power Slap is the most extreme version of that. Bare knuckle isn't much better. Where it's like, all right, I've spent close to 20 years developing a ground game, developing different ways to defend myself, but we're going to get rid of 80% of what I do to protect myself and to hurt other people. And instead we're just going to go with bare knuckles against skull.
But at least you can defend yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's
kind of.
a limited way. Like
Yeah.
the Luke Rockhold Mike Perry fight was like, why would you do that? Like fight
They
him
must
and-
be getting paid.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
huge money.
Like I know some of the deals that go on. Like when I was at Alpha Male, Chad
Yeah,
Mendez fought in bare knuckle, and I heard whispers of what was going on, and I'm like, yeah, good call going back to bare knuckle. Plus, he's like explosive as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
He's
It's kinda
absolutely
like works
jacked.
for
He
him.
hits like a truck. It's perfect for him.
Yeah.
It's 2-minute rounds. Like explode and rest. That's perfect for him.
Yeah.
But if you're a Luke Rockhold, where your striking is good, but it comes from your rear leg.
Yeah.
That's 90% of your striking.
Yeah, that's what made him good.
That on top of the fact that there's a constant threat of a takedown and essentially like the end of the fight if he takes somebody down. Most of the guys he's fighting in the UFC, if he takes them down, they're screwed. His ground game's sick. His wrestling's sick. His rear leg is lethal. You take all that away and go against another MMA guy who's smaller than you, who's pretty much his entire game is bare knuckle.
Yeah.
Like that's how
Oh,
he
yeah.
fought
That,
MMA.
that sport was perfect for him.
Perfect for him.
Yeah.
You couldn't have found somebody who was like more built for bare knuckle, and
Yeah.
you see him just like destroying elite guys. Like Michael Venom Page is a beast, and
That's crazy.
in bare knuckle, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Again, you take away the kicks and
Yeah.
stuff like that from MVP.
Isn't it a smaller ring too?
Yeah, I think so, and shorter rounds,
Mm-hmm.
which you'd think would favor.
Someone was saying that how different MMA would be if it was like 2-minute rounds.
That'd be so
Like
stupid.
it would be crazy because
be so dumb.
a huge part of the sport is like being able to be conditioned for 15 minutes of fighting. Like
Yeah.
fuck, that's a long time.
I like what guys say.
A
where, like,
long time.
When GSP says it, and other guys are like, "I don't even like rounds." Neither do I.
Yeah.
Let's just go 15 minutes.
Really?
I'd way rather just do 15 minutes.
Really?
Like it's exhausting.
I don't
but
think
it's-
it'd be as exciting though. You don't get that like
Probably not.
that fresh person in like
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's just how many. It's not as true a form of combat as
Yeah.
it would be with 15 minutes, because you see it all the time. Guys like almost get a finish. Cody Garbrandt
Yeah.
almost knocked out
And
TJ
then-
Dillashaw. TJ got saved by the bell, comes back, knocks Cody out. It's like if it had been one 15-minute fight, Cody might have held on to the belt, right?
So wrestling went through this like many times as far as like
Every Olympics.
6-minute yeah. I feel like they change the rules every 8 years. Every other Olympics they kind of have a major rule change.
Which is insane.
And they were doing I think at one point they were like 8-minute matches, maybe like
Just
back in the day, straight, and then they were 6-minute, and then they went to 3 2s, and that was the whole point. Was like, okay, this is going to make things so much more exciting, and every single time they change the rules, it's just I feel like they lose less of the true like old school fans, just to mix things up, and then it always goes back. Like you can't get like.
And then that was, I think when they did the 3-2s, it was like at the end of the period,
Clinch,
it didn't matter. Well, it didn't matter if you were up 8-0 or 1-0. It was like you got a point for winning that round. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then they went.
And
back
it would
to
only
3-2.
go to 6 points. So if you get 6, it's a tech round instead of 10.
Oh, but just for the period, that one period.
Just for that period, yeah.
Okay.
So you get 6 points, then that
6
round's
point spread, right?
Yeah, 6 point spread.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then they went back. Now it's
And
now
then
it's the one
and then it was overtime, and you start in a clinch, locked hands at that point.
and then they switched it to you start in a shot, right?
Then they
you start
switched
on like a high crotch or something,
Yeah.
right? Just like so stupid.
crazy.
Like, okay, well, 80%, and you pull like a ball out of a bag or some shit where it's
Yeah.
like do a horrible magic trick to see
Yeah,
who goes
yeah.
next. Like
They did
just-
I think they were doing flip a coin at one point,
yeah,
like a red blue.
Yeah.
But then people were like weighting the coins, or there was like all this fucking.
Jesus,
It was nuts, and then the ball grab,
bunch of ball grabbers.
literally ball grab, and
So stupid.
and then you would just go in and just start on the leg, and then
And
they
as soon
blow
as
the
the guy
whistle.
would grab, it wasn't like really the whistle. You like just kind of come in.
As soon as you lock your hands,
explode,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the guy who's defending, it's like, all right, it's up to you. And then as soon as you go, you just arch your back and lift and return the guy
Yeah,
to the mat.
it's very I think I would say it was probably like a 90% score rate if you
Yeah.
got the leg first.
That's so stupid. I like the way it is now. It's 2 3s now, right? With
Yeah.
I mean, the thing they're kind of like chewing into right now is criteria, right? Or it's
Yeah,
like
that's
criteria
the
is
big
kind of
thing.
stupid.
Yeah.
Like people don't know.
And
if
like
they're up or not.
not the shot clock, but if there's no points after like 2 minutes, someone's getting a caution point, and then it's just about who looks like they're more busy. So now people are just playing the refs again. It's
Yeah.
like, I think that with both sports, the more you can take the refs and the judges out of the equation, the better.
100%. I feel like even Chuck Liddell was saying something about that last week, where he's like, some reporter was asking him about what he thought about current MMA and the state MMA's in. He's like, I like it now. He's like, for a little while, it got to a point where guys were playing it too safe.
Yeah.
And it kind of like swung back the other way. And I think that must have come from the change in scoring. Like it went from like the scoring was like striking and grappling, and now they're like, no, we're more focused on damage now.
Yeah.
Because that was like, there was a period between like 2010 to like 2017 maybe, where it was like, if a round was remotely close and a guy scored a takedown, it was like, oh, there's no
Yeah.
way you're winning this round unless
Yeah.
you get a takedown back.
Yeah.
Like you can't. And now it's almost like a takedown doesn't count at all unless you do something.
Even
with it to
cage
the guy.
control. Like if you hold the guy in the cage for like 10 seconds, that round's going to you unless it's like complete swing the other way. But
Yeah, it was so dumb. It was just a bunch of guys like jabbing, getting scared of getting taken
Yeah.
down, and then one guy perfectly timing a shot, a guy getting up and knowing that he's essentially down 1 point. It's like, okay, now you're just like.
But
pulling
how
points.
big of a part of the sport is just being able to get finishes versus wins, and like how quickly you can like rise as opposed to like having a bunch of decision wins. So like that's not like dependent on the rule set or anything, but
I just think I don't get how some people view fighting. Like I think some people are really viewing this as like, okay, how can I get through 15 minutes and out edge this person and reserve and this and that and score
Yeah.
that, and like, okay, and then I'm gonna win this round and I'll edge this guy out and then buy my time. Like it's great to think about the sport inside and out and really study, which I do, but at the same time, it's like I'm not in here to outpoint guys. I
Yeah.
don't feel like. I don't get that rush from like just barely
Yeah.
beating a guy and like, yeah, I beat you on paper. It's like, so, like you didn't.
yeah, you
make
didn't
me wanna
really.
stop.
You won the game. You didn't.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
win
You
the
didn't
fight.
beat the guy in a fight.
Yeah.
Like my whole thing is like, no, I want to beat the shit out of guys.
Yeah.
Like I want stoppages. I don't want there to be any. There's no dispute in any of my wins.
Yeah.
There's not like, oh yeah, well if I had a little more time, it's like, oh
Yeah.
you had like 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
You know, like I
Yeah.
love that. I love it's like you either had to physically or verbally ask for a way out, or the other guy in there had to save you
Yeah.
and peel me off.
You've just always
That's
been like that. Amateur career, everything.
Yeah, it just doesn't
Yeah.
feel like the same kind of win. Like
Way more of a rush winning by finish.
oh yeah, man. Even when I like competed a lot in jiu-jitsu and you win matches by decision, I'm like, well, that was lame, or points or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
cool, I scored more points. This isn't soccer.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about scoring points. I care about like getting in a position where you can't get out of, and you ask to stop. Like that's the best. That's the rush, man.
Well, the guys that fight like that certainly get more opportunities, and you rise the ranks so much quicker. Like,
Yeah. Feel like even guys that are like that, like Cheeto, where he hasn't won all his fights, but he just has
Yeah.
like
Oh,
a diehard.
everybody
fan
wants to
base.
watch him.
Dude, he's sick. You're not going to watch a boring fight with him. Like, he might lose a decision, and I think I don't think he's ever been stopped. That's a sick combo too. Like, obviously being undefeated would be great, but like the man's never been stopped, and you just like you're never safe in a fight against him.
Yeah.
Like, I think statistically one of the highest strike counts in the UFC was Rob Font versus Chito Vera. Rob Font, I think, scored one of the highest, I think top 5. I could be wrong. I thought it was number 5 most significant strikes scored in a fight. I could be completely wrong. But then got stopped by Chito Vera because it's like, all right, you're outpointing me, you're outpointing me, you're outpointing me. Something super vicious and dangerous. Like everything that guy throws, it's like knee stomps and calf kicks and toe stabs and knees to the face, elbows, big heavy punches flying. Like, it's nothing's like, okay, I'm gonna jab at you and I'm gonna pick at you and I'm gonna like outscore
He's
you.
mean too.
Oh,
Everything
dude.
he throws with like that fucking intent to
It
hurt.
hurts. It's like, it's one thing to get jabbed by a guy. That's, am I right on that?
Can I make a prediction? Cater versus Holloway. That's got to be one of the highest punch counts.
It is, yeah.
Is it?
Holloway by himself was more than any fight of 2 people total.
Crazy.
Yeah, his output was insane in that fight. Yeah, it was unbelievable. I think I saw Cater and Font and Cheeto on that list when Cannonier beat Vettori, because he was somewhere on that list. It was like Holloway, I think, had 2 or something. There were or 2 or 3 high outputs, and then I think Cannonier versus Vettori. It was all Holloway, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you want the same thing. She just fucking has a crazy output.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Frankie Edgar's got to be on that list, yeah, for sure. Just like volume guys, right?
I'm sure Diaz is up there somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
10? Okay, we got to hear it now. What's the rankings?
Number 9, Mike Bisping.
Bisping, eh?
Oh,
really?
most scored significant strikes. This
most-
is in the career.
Yeah, not per fight.
Oh,
okay,
yeah. That was like a per fight.
The Rob Font Cheeto fight was most likely up there.
I think that was number 5. If I could be wrong, but I thought they said it was. I thought it said on that list that they put out it was number 5. But yeah, Bisping's definitely got to be up there. That guy threw an insane amount in his fights.
Number 8 is Strickland.
Strickland.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
He's
man.
got lots of time to climb.
Number 7 is a 55er who's been around for a minute. Dustin Poirier.
Oh yeah.
Jesus. That's crazy because he hits hard too. He's not like a pitter-patter
Yeah.
puncher.
RDA.
Yeah.
Joanna, Frankie, Angela Hill, Max.
Angela
Hill, really?
What?
Number 2 significant strikes landed all time.
Really?
No way.
How many fights does she have?
That's insane.
Was is she 15?
She's 15, 13, and 0.
15, 13. She's 115? She's fought, what's her name? Dern? Mackenzie?
Beating against Dern.
Yeah.
One fight.
That's wild. I would not. I don't know. I think she wouldn't have come to mind. I also haven't watched her fight that much. It's just more like the weight classes where I'm either involved in or my friends or
I watch a lot
somebody I'm
more
huge fan of.
115, 25 now than I used to.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I'd hope so. If you were like, I don't even know who's in the top 10,
Yeah.
or I guess 25. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, who's in the top 10? I'd be like, yeah, maybe we should figure that out.
For light fighters, Francis, Tyson Fury.
Oh, God.
What's that?
Francis and Fury.
What about it?
That's booked?
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Boxing.
Boxing.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Have a chance. So he's plus 1,300,
plus 1,300.
which means there's
I would bet on that.
no chance to win.
I mean,
I would bet on that.
look, if like you want to talk about like, oh man, he's got unreal punching power. He's got the chance to knock him out, which of course he does.
But look at the guys that Tyson Fury have
look at
fought
him
who
with
also.
with Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. If we're looking at like a guy who hits like a freight train and has a chance, then
I mean, we've done this. Fuck. Let's scrap the whole thing.
brutal, man. Brutal. Yeah, like if Deontay Wilder wasn't able to put him out, and they fought 3 times, right? 2 times or 3 times? Twice? I don't fucking know.
First one was a draw.
First one was a draw, yeah.
Second one was Deontay.
No. Second one was Tyson, right? Didn't Tyson beat the shit out of him in the second one? He stopped him in the second one, right? And then
The third one was when he stopped in the 6th round or something like that.
I can't remember. Did you see the slow mo of Tyson throwing the punches with his glove flopping? And people
Yeah,
that,
they're saying there's like
his hand wasn't
weighted in
fully
there.
no, that his hand wasn't fully
Yeah.
in the glove. That,
But didn't someone say there was like a weight in the end and that's what he was doing?
what I heard was like they're saying it's an old like gypsy box. It is 3. It's 2 for Tyson and a draw, right? Yeah.
No, what I heard that was that he had like a weight or
egg weight or
someone was like, saying there's like an egg weight in there because he hit him with it.
It did look floppy, like heavy.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But that's what, an old boxing trick, just to fucking slap him with the end of the glove?
No, what they were saying was it was like a gypsy boxing trick where you have the glove on like this, and it's taped, it's tied, your hands are wrapped, and then you take your fingers out and pull the glove down so your fist is in the wrist. So you see him hitting with like what would be the wrist of the glove.
Yeah.
But it's really like they're saying that's his knuckles, and that's
really.
what cut him. Yeah, he's like.
So you just got that thin fabric right fucking there.
And that's why the rest of the glove is doing this like flop thing on the other
Probably
side.
extends his jab a bit too. He's got this much glove.
Maybe, yeah. Would make your jab super weird.
And think of all the crazy cheats that people have done over the years. Like,
it's insane, man.
Yeah. I forget who was just saying about what was the fight where the chick was like thumbing her.
When she had the rear naked choke?
Yeah, and she was literally just
never let that woman fight again.
Yeah,
never let her
that's
fight
the same
again,
thing.
man.
Like that's got to be like, or at least like a 2-year suspension or something. But to do nothing,
I would say you can't fight anymore.
Yeah,
like you can.
That's different than an eye poke.
It's intentional. It's like
that's like you're trying to gouge your eyes out.
Like I'm trying to gouge your eyes so you don't lose. The fight was over. The fact that the ref didn't just stop it and call it rear naked choke,
that's it.
Or no or DQ.
Yeah.
Immediately, it's like. You know what you're doing. You're cheating. Yeah. And, like, the amount of damage you could do on someone, it's like, okay, cool, I still got the win and whatever, but, like, now you have a detached retina.
Like, think about, you know what fucking Javon went through with that whole detached retina? Like, that was crazy.
Bro.
He had to, like, after his surgery, he had to stay, like, face down on a bed for, like, 7 days or something.
Jesus.
Like, like, for the first couple days, he couldn't even get up to piss.
That's insane.
Yeah. Think about that, man. Not to mention losing your vision, but, like, fuck. That's terrible.
That's wild.
What's a crazier fight? Is it crazier that Connor fought Floyd, or is it crazier that...
No, that's crazier.
It's crazier that Connor fight.
It was the first time, too.
I think Connor fighting Floyd was crazier. I remember during the fight being like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like, this is absolutely wild to me that this is happening.
It just gets less impressive every time. Yeah. I mean, this is super impressive.
This is extremely impressive.
The fact that he was the first one to do that, it was like, no fucking way.
Because you hear guys like, oh, I want to fight Floyd. It's like, yeah, sure you do.
Yeah.
Like you just, it's like almost just kind of clout chasing at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, for it actually to have happened is wild, man.
I was in Toronto for one of the, what do they call it? Not the weigh-in, but the, they traveled around the press conference. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Conor Floyd Mayweather one. We were like right up front. I believe it.
Really?
Didn't they go around to like a bunch of different places, right?
LA, Toronto.
Yeah.
They went to like 4 or 5 spots.
It was wild, man.
Toronto was the craziest.
It was wild. Crazy just for a press conference.
So they did the Musk versus Zuck.
Oh God, we're
Oh,
really going
Jesus.
over this too?
Oh, man.
He looks good, man. He looks good.
I love the idea of this fight more than I'm actually gonna like enjoy. Like once, like when they're walking out, I'll be like, "This is sick!" Like for like it'll be funny and hilarious. But once they start fighting, it'll just be sad.
Yeah,
for sure. Like
I don't know, man. They're both highly, highly intelligent people. You don't think they're gonna pick up a thing or two? Yeah, look at this.
That's in Tahoe. So
dude, he's got better abs than Volk.
So yeah,
Look at that. He looks built like
Zuck looks pretty jacked, man. He looks kind of
How old
shredded.
is he? He's gonna be 40.
He's 39, right?
Really?
I think so. I think he's 39
Same age.
and Musk is 52, 51, something like that. It's a pretty big
Are
age
they
gap.
are they gonna I guess they'll make this happen.
Training
right?
up at Elevation in Tahoe. So he's actually taking this seriously.
But they can like make this fight happen even though they have no amateur experience. They're gonna let them fight as professionals.
They can do whatever they
Just
want.
money
It's against
talks.
another guy who's never fought. Like it's not like it's against.
Yeah.
It's not like he's trying to take on.
But there's like
Brandon Moreno.
there's got to be. That's the next fight. That's the real fight.
Yeah, Elon Musk's not a small guy. Right?
Yeah.
He's got to be over 200.
Yeah.
It's got to be a welder. Yeah, he's got to be over 200 pounds. He's a big boy.
And they're talking about putting this on an actual UFC event.
Where do
Man,
you put
you got to
it?
get on that card.
Where do you put it, man? No, I mean, yeah, that's
Like,
sick.
where do you put it?
On the card? Like, is it?
It's gotta be main
UFC
event, man.
300, Musk versus Zuckerberg.
Well,
Like,
what did they do with
I guess so.
the WWF guy? What's his name?
Brock
they just
or
put
CM Punk?
CM Punk.
Yeah.
Didn't they have him like open up the main card?
Is that where it was? I don't remember.
I think they did.
But this is so
no,
much
this
bigger
is
than
like
CM
so
Punk.
much bigger.
This
That's
is
what I
huge.
mean. If they're gonna put him on like a main card, I could see them making it a main event
This is like
or co-main.
This isn't like, oh, we're bringing in another fan base. This is like the entire world is the fan base.
Literally.
Like anyone who's ever heard.
Do you
of
think this will be the biggest
technology.
fight
Yeah.
ever?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if a fight will ever do bigger than this.
Wow.
I don't think so. Why would one? Who knows these guys? Who knows people more?
Unless it's like a
those are two of the
Trump
most
versus
famous people
Biden or something. Like,
Yeah.
you fucking imagine.
It's Trump versus Biden.
Nikki Gall, CM Punk
Yeah.
had the same slot on UFC 203
Wow.
They were the feature fight.
The feature fight.
third from
They
the
were the
end.
feature fight.
That makes
Dude, this is
sense.
going to be a main event.
After Uriah,
I'm calling it.
after Uriah and Jimmy Rivera.
Oh, yeah?
Wow. That's how
That's
disrespectful.
wild. Yeah, you're my favorite UFC Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And then
How about that
CM Punk.
lifetime of martial arts training?
Follow? Yeah, you're gonna open up for the guy who wants to give this a try.
I didn't even know who CM Punk was when he got in, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I heard his name, but
Right.
I don't follow WWE
No,
very much at all.
me neither.
And there's no doubt at all that Musk is up would be the biggest, possibly televised thing ever.
Yeah, like
Televised. You're going to call it
what's-
biggest televised.
What's gonna be bigger than this? What's bigger than this?
The moon landing.
The fucking Cheers series finale. Like, get out of here. You watching Cheers? You watching Zuck and
What about Friends?
buddy? I don't think there's a person out there who's not gonna want to watch this. Like that, they're gonna be like, this is so crazy and stupid.
It's like two of the most
But I'll
popular,
be there.
two of the most
You know,
popular
like-
people on the planet, and they're fighting.
like I
That's
think
crazy, man. If they do it, props to them for having this fucking balls to do that.
the only
Like,
way this
actually.
is-
They already made the shirts.
yeah,
They're selling them at international.
yeah, they were there all week.
I can't believe it's
I
going to
think
happen.
The only thing that could possibly be bigger is Musk and Bezos. I think that's like the only thing that could possibly be bigger.
That's the next fight to
Like,
make.
that's the only bigger. Like who's more famous in the world than Elon Musk? Like that's got to be like the guy right now.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago it was Kim Kardashian, and now it's Elon Musk. You know,
Yep.
before that it was probably Oprah. Like who's
Oprah's a
that's-
big deal. Can
that's-
you imagine like a Oprah versus Roseanne fight or something?
Oprah versus
Like back in the day? Remember how
Versus,
big Roseanne was?
Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
still
she was a
I'd-
criminal, so she's
She got the edge.
Yeah.
I'd still pay for that one.
This is the new thing, man. And I think Conor McGregor was the one that started this whole shit.
Yeah,
Big,
this
big
is.
Conor fan.
I'm not usually in for gimmick fights, but you got to be in for this one. This
Fuck,
one's
it's
wild.
funny.
Again, I don't think it'll. Yeah, I think it's funny. Like it's
Yeah.
funny and interesting. It's not going to be a good fight at all, as far as
It will be interesting to see if these guys can be like remotely like technical out there and like maintain some of their training. Like, are they even going to try that hard? Are they even going to try to get that good?
like one.
Are they going to go out there and look like decent fighters?
One's probably going to get knocked out. Like it's going
Do
to.
you think so? I was thinking it was going to be all grappling.
Like I
Like
just don't.
never being punched in the face for real. And I
Yeah.
think they're going to tie up, man.
Well, I just think like when you've never been hit like that, and that stress and that tense in your neck, like when
Yeah.
you get hit, it's different. Like guys get knocked out
Yeah.
way easier. See how fucking tense some guys are when they get hit. It's like, ooh, buddy, you are gonna get slept. Versus
Yeah.
like guys who can go with it. That's to bring it back to like power slap versus boxing.
Yeah.
Right. These guys are tense and they have to just sit there and take
Yeah.
it. Versus like a boxer who's able to like
Roll with it. And
obviously their body's moving that direction. You don't just want your head moving that way.
Yeah.
But with being able to go with a shot a little bit takes so much of this sting off.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to one of the guys from Rumble. I was talking to Dave from Rumble about that at the at Power Slap, and it was like, dude, if you're just sitting there
versus
tense,
just
ready
rolling
to
with
take
it a little bit.
you can take so much. And I show that when I'm striking. Like, okay, give me. I'm going to catch your body kick. Are we staying still and trying to just eat this body kick? Or am I stepping to the side, rocking my hips and absorbing it? Okay, if you kick me in the body as hard as you can, like that's your fault.
Yeah.
That was your objective, and you achieved that regardless of whether I catch the kick or
Yeah.
not. But if I just shift my weight, I'm like, you have shin guards on, kick me 100%. And I give a small shift and absorb it. I'm like, okay, did it feel good? No, but I could take a lot of those in a fight.
And you were
But if
ta-
I sit there and just give
Yeah.
you my stomach, that's different.
You were talking about the difference today between like snapping the whip versus like the baseball bat. Like
Yes.
if you're like coming off a little bit, you're not taking it right at the end of that punch. Maybe you're taking it at the end of like past the end of the punch or
Yeah, I would consider the difference being like throwing your punches or clubbing your punches.
Yeah.
When you mean when I say throwing a punch, I do mean throwing, like you're throwing a ball, like it's
there's a
loose until
release
it's
almost.
snapped,
Yeah.
right? That's that you are actually throwing it versus like when you're clubbing something, maybe a baseball bat, maybe a sledgehammer is a better analogy, but that club comes all across
Yeah.
and it's tense all the way through. You probably are hitting with more power through a longer range of
Right.
motion. Like when you club, there's power from like beginning to end. But when you throw your punch well, there's typically way more power in a smaller range. Like when you hit that perfect range, that's where it's like.
would
when
you say like an overhand is more like a club and a straight right? The way you throw it is more like that.
I would say typically a good straight right. Like one person who snaps and throws his punches as good or maybe better than anybody would be like Connor. Connor's really loose and has great snap and
then
great whip.
stiffens right when he needs to stiffen.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch him just chuck that left hand, right? Especially, old school Connor before he put on all the muscle. I don't know how he'll look now, but it was beautiful.
It's hard to believe that he's going to look as good as he's ever looked because he's got a new body.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. I remember when I was a kid and I grew, like, through high school, I put on, like, 6 inches in 1 year. And I came back to wrestling in September and I was like, tripping over my feet and stuff. Like, he's got a new body.
Yeah.
Like, fucking maybe 30 extra pounds he's carrying around. Is he going to be able to, like, has he gotten used to moving that body?
It takes a while for you to get used to moving that kind of weight.
Well, what was it like for you moving up from 45 to 70? Like, that was a process, but
it was a do
you feel like you fight a lot different?
I feel like way better at 70 than I did at 45.
Way better.
Just even the ability to take a shot, man.
Yeah.
Like I was getting rocked by smaller guys more than I am now. Just from cutting weight
dehydration. There's no way you can.
No,
I just heard actually the other day, like, when you dehydrate, I'm watching this show Alone. I don't know how much longer we're gonna
love Alone.
I just
love
binge watch
it. Camp, because I'm like, fuck, there's moments of camp that
Yeah,
suck, and then
literally.
I watch it, I'm like, dude, I'm sitting on my couch with a blanket eating soup. This guy,
I just binge watch this, and
worms,
Jazz has been gone. I've been up every night watching it, but
show's great.
But yeah, they weren't talking, but they were talking about the idea of, like, dehydrating. The first part that dehydrates is your brain.
Yeah.
And then the last part to rehydrate is your brain.
Really?
So, like, a lot of times when people are, like, fucking sucking themselves down 20, 30 pounds, and by fight night, you're still not fully recovered. You might, like, have the weight back on, but you haven't, like, rehydrated your brain.
When I fought in Bellator, we weighed in at 5 p.m.
That's a late weigh-in, too.
It was the worst weight cut of my life. It was horrible. I made 145.
Yeah.
It was awful, to the point where they picked us up at 1 to take us to the venue. They did all the medicals, they did interviews, they did all this stuff. So we're there from 1 until weigh-ins start at 5. So probably didn't weigh in and start rehydrating until close to 5:15, 5:30. So I had to be on way early. So, like, from noon to like 5:30 I was dehydrated. So a massive window, right? And
did you know how to cut weight back then, or were you just, like, killing yourself?
Yeah. I mean, both. It was.
It doesn't matter. Knowing how to do it, regardless.
But it was brutal. So and then I fought early. I was like one of the first fights on the prelims, and it was West Coast time. So the main card starts on East Coast time. So the main card starts at like 4 p.m., which is 7 East Coast time or something like that, right? So I think I fought around like 2:33.
Jesus, so not even 24 hours later.
So not even 24 hours later. Dude, I remember
1:45.
I was sitting in a chair waiting for the shuttle to pick me up to go to the fight. They called fighter 1, 2, 3, and Mike Malott on the shuttle. We're taking you. I sit up out of my chair, excuse me, and I go to walk forward, and I took like 3 cross steps, like diagonally, because I was just so dizzy. And I remember thinking, well, I'm fighting a world Sanshou champion, world, like, wushu kickboxing champion. He's one of the striking coaches at AKA. Like, I'm fighting a world-class kickboxer. My brain's not rehydrated. Try your best not to get hit. Hope for the best. Yeah. And it was my only fight that went the distance.
You took his back in the first round. Weren't you on his back like the whole first round?
Yeah.
And you almost finished him a couple times and went for the finish. Speaking of finishes, like, fuck, man.
So
and then still had the nards to get through that, man. That's crazy. That must be one of those fights that, like, you got in the back pocket and you're like, man, people that don't think I can go 3 rounds. You know what I mean? Like,
it was a gut check.
There's no harder fight than that one.
No.
With the cut, the 3 rounds, the fact that you were, like, riding them out, you were going for the finish. You weren't, like, pacing yourself. You went to try for the choke.
And I was trying to pressure him.
Yeah. Didn't you have the body triangle locked up and he was standing at a point?
Yeah. I had his back standing, so I had his back pretty much the full first round. So they gave me a 10-8 round, landed some shots, almost had him finish with some chokes. And now looking back at, like, what I do on the back versus then, it's just like,
you were just
God
fucking.
damn it, why didn't you just do this? Like, you had it. Same with the Dawodu fight. I'm like, fuck, you had the back.
Yeah.
That one was even weirder. I don't know why. He stood, and I had his back, and I was just, everything went wrong in that camp. That was the only fight I missed weight. Like, there was another one at 45, and I hired a guy to help me with my weight cut, and that guy butchered. That guy, I'm just like, oh, he didn't know what he was doing. Like, I got there fight weekend, I was like, oh, you
found out way too late.
I found out way too late. So for that fight, I'll get back to the Bellator fight, but for the World Series of Fighting fight when I fought Hakeem Dawodu, I flew out to Edmonton and trained with Shane Campbell for an hour. I put Sweet Sweat on. I put Vaseline on. I put a sweatsuit on.
Vaseline?
Sorry, Sweet Sweat.
Oh, okay.
Sweet Sweat, Sweet Sweat, sweatsuit,
right.
Sweater and sweatpants. So I had, like, everything on to sweat. And so I'm hitting mitts with Shane for like 30 minutes. Then we do a bunch of like kind of like clinch spar and then takedowns and scrambles. Just like, it was like, all right, this is like the last MMA practice where I want to get my heart rate up. I want to kind of give her. I want to get tired. But also I was on like no calories because I was cutting a shitload of weight, right? Do that. Granted, I was water loading, but I obviously sweat an outrageous amount. Like you see how much I sweat at practice today, not wearing any of that stuff. I'm not even wearing a shirt and I'm drenched, right?
Yeah.
I sweat an unbelievable amount. Take this gear off, towel off, grab my scale, jump on the scale.
1 pound.
I have to weigh in at 146 this was Tuesday. The fight was on Friday. I have to weigh in on Thursday. So I have to weigh in 2 days at 146. I sweat hard for an hour. Like gave her. Buddy, I was 166.
Come on.
I was like, fuck. No. I was like, no, there's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I called
20 pounds over.
Calling the guy who's helping me. I'm like, dude, I've been following your diet to a T. I was eating the meals you made for me. He's like,
he's one of those guys. Like, so I'll eat this. You're going to be good.
I bought the meals and he pulls the fucking bullshit. All right, I'm going to charge you this much for a week's amount of food. I'm going to make all your meals for you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like that breaks down to like 3 meals a day, 7 meals a week. It's actually not a bad price. So I pay him. And then what a motherfucker. You go. So
shout out to this guy.
I'm not going to dog him, but he probably knows who he is.
Has he got an Instagram?
Yeah, so he doesn't, I'm going to make all your meals throughout the week. Well, not 7 days, a business week. So 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And that, like lunch and dinner, not breakfast. So it goes from 21 meals a week to 10. I'm like, oh, okay, we just doubled the cost per meal. I'm like, all right, fuck it. Whatever, man. Like this guy's just fucking like everything's a little crazy. Yeah. And then he goes, so I call him that Tuesday after I get back from the gym. I'm like, dude, I'm 21 pounds overweight after sweating hard for an hour. Like realistically, I lost 5 pounds at least in that. I'm like, I'm 21 pounds over. I just sweat so much. What the fuck? I've been following your diet to a T. And he's like, don't worry. Just follow the process. Once the process starts going, your weight's going to fall off. You're going to feel so good. You're going to want to, the weight gain's going to be so easy. You're going to be drinking smoothies the morning of weigh-ins. I'm like, what the fuck? And you know who this guy is, but I'm not going to say his name, and I don't want to say his name.
He worked with fighters before, though?
Yeah. And
just not big cuts.
No. Well, I mean, guys who had cut had told me this guy's good.
Yeah.
And maybe they just didn't know anything about dieting either. So it's like to them it was great, right? But I was like, okay, to trying this guy's diet, and I'm like, what do I do, man? It's Tuesday. He's like, okay, here's what you do. Do a bath tonight. Do like an Epsom salt hot bath tonight. I'm like, okay, and then rehydrate. He's like, no, don't fully rehydrate. He's like, just keep some of the weight off.
So now you're dehydrating on Tuesday.
You'll sip a little bit tomorrow. Then you'll start the cut at 2 p.m. Then you'll cut at night. Then you'll wake up in the morning and cut again. And then I'm like, you want me to start cutting weight almost 48 hours out? Remember, the weigh-ins, oh no, that was Bellator. So the weigh-ins would have been, I think, at like 1 for this one. So it wasn't quite 48 hours out. But I'm like, you want me to start dehydrating 48 hours out?
Jesus.
And he goes, well, that's what Dixon did last week, and he had a really tough cut. I was like, okay, cool. Hang up the phone, call Dixon, my boy Ryan Dixon, shout out, love you, bud. Call Dixon. I'm like, hey, buddy, you fought last week. This guy did your work, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, did you start the weight cut dehydration 2 days before weigh-ins? He's like, no, why would I do that? And I just hang up the phone. I'm like, I'm on my own.
Fuck.
And dude, I almost made it, and they didn't give me any extra time. So I showed up for weight. I was 147.1. So I almost was on. I had 1.1 pounds to go.
Yeah.
And I show up at weigh-ins, and I'm still got my plastics on. And I'm like, okay, fuck. I don't know what my weight is. I haven't checked because I'm still like trying to sweat as much as I can because I think I'm still over. I weigh in. I'm 147.1. I square off with Davido, who's a fucking absolute animal.
Monster.
Yeah, absolute beast. Right? It's like you don't want to go against a guy with that level of striking and that much power.
Fucking
that
60%. Yeah.
Dude. And so I'm like, okay. They're like, you missed. You're over by 1.1 or whatever it was. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, do I have an hour or two? They're like, oh no, our commission doesn't do that. We're gonna leave. Like they just are like, oh, we want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me try.
I got chicken in the oven.
Dude, yeah, exactly. Like, bro, let me try. Like if I miss, I miss. But like, give me another hour. Give me. Like, I thought it was 2 hours. Even if it's 1 hour, like let me get in the tub and try. Let me cut this weight. And they're like, no, you missed. I'm like, all right, fuck. Yeah, that was a tough one. Both of those fights were tough, man. You get in there just after that much weight cut, just like tie up with a guy and just feel your legs like. Feels like if you've ever been like hung over, someone wakes you up at 3 a.m. and it's like, fight a guy. Yeah. Like right away, wake up, fight. Just your legs are so heavy. You're just walking with boots in mud. Like, fuck, I just gotta find a way.
That's sickening, man.
Yeah.
There's obviously a point of weight cut when it starts hurting you.
Yeah.
It was like Jazz going down to 15, similar.
Yeah.
And she was just like eating like 500 calories a day for like fucking 3 weeks.
That's
just
insane.
starving herself. And she was like, I mean, she's like 5'7". Not like a skinny bitch, but she's pretty lean. But yeah, that was crazy. That was like 25-pound cut or 30-pound cut for a girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, you must have been at that time one of the biggest 45ers ever.
I don't know who it was. I mean,
I think
Felix
like
one of my best friends, and he's a big 45er, and I was fucking way bigger.
I think of like Monster, how big Monster is for 45.
He's huge too.
I
was definitely bigger though.
But you're bigger.
Even
your frame's bigger too. It's not like there's guys kind of built like Pow that can cut like 40 pounds and stuff like that. But your frame is like a lean frame.
Yeah.
Not that you're lean, but you're like not fucking one of those muscly guys that can just suck weight out of your.
Yeah.
You got a lot of bone.
Even when I went to 45 for that Bellator fight, and we go to like the weight check with all the people that work for Bellator, and then the other fighters check in, and they're like, "Ooh, tough cut to 55, eh?" Because just a skeleton, and I was like, 45.
Keep going.
Like, you're fighting at 45? Holy shit! Granted, I was.
Whose idea was that? That was just all you? Because you must have had like a growth spurt or something. And like it's kind of for me, it was like hard because I was like, you're at that weight, but then you grow a little bit, but you're like mentally like, oh, that's my weight class. I can do it. Like
that's exactly what it was for the Dawodu fight.
Yeah, because you were at one point like fucking skinnier, dude.
I was great for 45. Yeah. Up until about my third fight.
You just naturally started growing like a little bit.
Dude, I was a late bloomer. I wasn't 5 feet till grade 9.
Yeah.
And I wasn't 100 pounds till grade 10. So I was like a skinny small kid. You're the same way, right? Yeah.
Remember we used to be the same weight back when we first met?
Yeah, when I was 45, we were the same size.
We were the same. I haven't grown. He has.
So I went pro at 19.
Late bloomer.
So I was like, I don't even know if I was 6 foot when I made my pro debut. Like,
so you're still growing, yeah. So and then you get the idea in your head, like that's my weight class, and it's
2 pounds. A couple years later, you're like, where the fuck did?
Yeah. Like, I'm fucking walking around at 175 now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much more time you want us to flap on. We could go on forever. I was actually going to talk about that PEI trip, but we got that's enough. This has been incredible. Yeah, good. Fuck, I feel like we could keep going, but I know Mikey's got some stuff to get to, and
maybe we'll save the PEI one for another time. Yeah, we've been going an hour almost.
Nice. Oh, that was easy.
That was sick.
I think we could flow. Million shout out. Thanks for sponsoring us. Goisman, Hebert.
That was fucking awesome.
Goisman, holding it down. Hebert, letting the alarm clock go off. Appreciate that, bud.
That was pretty much the only flaw in the whole thing, I think.
It was flawless otherwise.
Yeah. We talked about Musk. We talked about McGregor.
Awkward handshake to go out.
Oh, he's right-handed?
Just fingers. Is there anything you hate worse than when somebody gives you the fingers on a handshake? I regret it. I'm like, I wish I could take the handshake back. I no longer respect you. They just lead,
I don't say I hate it, but
lead like this.
Yeah.
Like you gotta find a way. If you give me that, like I'm
trying to like
get in there. I'm like, I'm grabbing your fucking palm.
Or you get this guy, go shake my hand.
Oh,
he like falls.
It's a limp. Is there anything worse than when you meet? Because we've talked about this again. No names. We've talked about this with like guys we respect that are like badass,
hugely
badasses, and then you shake their hand. You're like, why are you doing that? Don't
do that.
Don't
you
do
know
that.
What's worse than that?
What?
That guy is the guy that tries to break your hand.
No, do you know what's worse than that?
Just fucking
is when you go to fist bump a fan or somebody who knows you're a fighter, so they want to seem tough, so they punch the shit out of your knuckles. I'm like, that's why I fist bump with the palm, the hammer fist. Now I'm like, if you're punching my palm, I'm good. The fuck are you doing?
This guy's got technique on
Bruising
technique. Everything,
God,
everywhere. He's thought it through. Proper mic.
Plans,
that was fun, man.
That was great.